Most men follow the same routine when approaching a woman. They ask predictable questions, try to find common ground, and end up sounding like every other man she's met. But predictability kills attraction instantly. To stand out, you need a different approach, one built on presence, mystery, and subtle power. This strategy is something Machiavelli himself would admire. It's not about chasing, flattering, or begging for approval. Instead, it thrives on silence, perception, and timing. If you're looking for scripted lines or cheap tricks, this isn't for you. What I'm about to show you is an invisible, psychological game. From childhood, we're taught that asking questions shows interest. In school, it means curiosity. At work, it signals involvement. But in attraction, asking too many questions creates weakness. Each "what do you do?" or "where are you from?" silently reveals a lack of value, like you need her to fill the silence. When you lean on questions, you hand over control of the interaction. Women sense this instinctively. Deep down, something whispers, "This man needs me to carry the conversation." Machiavelli wrote that rulers must understand human nature more than law. The same truth applies in relationships. Power comes from awareness. Instead of collecting answers, give her perceptions. The average man says, "You seem stressed, did something happen?" But the man who understands attraction says, "Your eyes look like they're holding unfinished conversations." The first seeks confirmation. The second creates intrigue. One is predictable. The other makes her stop and think. That subtle difference changes everything. She feels seen, not just noticed, but truly understood. And every human craves that. Yet silence is where most men fail. They panic, fill it with jokes or stories, and lose their presence. But silence, when mastered, isn't weakness. It's a weapon that draws her in. Silence creates a vacuum, and people instinctively fill it. If she's shallow, she'll stuff it with surface-level chatter. If she has depth, silence pulls her into vulnerability. The secret isn't avoiding silence, but carrying it with confidence. Anxious silence pushes away. Calm silence magnetizes. The difference lies in presence. The samurai had a word, zanshin, the mind that remains. It means total presence, calm, yet alert. When you embody zanshin, silence transforms. It no longer feels awkward. Instead, it carries weight, pulling her closer. She senses your grounded energy and feels compelled to open up without knowing why. Another mistake men make is oversharing. They reveal their plans, fears, and achievements too soon, hoping it proves value. But oversharing erases mystery. Value isn't declared, it's felt. Mystery fuels curiosity, and curiosity fuels attraction. The less you reveal, the more she leans in, desperate to learn more about you. Compare two responses. One man says, "I travel a lot for work." Another says, "Every city has its own rhythm of time. Some rush forward, others drag slowly." The first is plain fact. The second invites imagination. It sparks questions, draws her curiosity, and makes her want to explore you. This is the Machiavellian shift. Stop chasing approval, start evaluating. If she says she likes art, don't brag about what you know. Instead, reply, "You don't strike me as someone who loves art for aesthetics alone. I'd bet you feel it under your skin." Now she must prove herself to you. The roles reverse. She justifies herself while you remain steady. Another rule: never agree with everything. Predictability destroys tension. Instead, introduce subtle provocations. Tension keeps conversations alive. Without it, You're just another mirror reflecting her words. With it, you become unforgettable. The one who challenges her to think differently. If she says she likes romantic men, most guys nod instantly. But you might reply, "Interesting. I've always thought too much romance can sometimes hide real intensity, don't you think?" It's not an attack. It's a refined provocation. Suddenly she's not just talking, she's reflecting. And that reflection deepens attraction. Psychology proves it. People feel more drawn to those who challenge them than to those who only flatter. Every compelling story needs tension. Without it, there's no interest. Conversations follow the same rule. If you're too agreeable, she disconnects. With just enough contrast, she stays fully engaged and invested. Tension doesn't mean conflict. It means contrast. Be present, but not fully accessible. Be warm, but keep mystery. Be attentive, but not predictable. This delicate balance keeps her attention hooked. The uncertainty makes you stand out in her mind. The unknown becomes irresistible, and you become the puzzle she wants to solve. Many men believe value comes from showing off money, status, or titles. But your worth doesn't need a microphone. It reveals itself in silence that doesn't tremble, in posture that doesn't bend, in eyes that don't wander. These quiet signals of strength carry more weight than 1,000 boasts. A man of value doesn't chase approval. He sets clear standards and boundaries. He doesn't accept everything, and that rarity makes him desirable. The man who demands nothing becomes the man who commands everything. Women sense this instinctively. His refusal to bend makes him stand out as unforgettable. Timing is the final weapon. Knowing when to speak, when to pause, when to approach, when to retreat, this cannot be memorized. It must be practiced and felt. The same words at the wrong time fall flat. But delivered with the right timing, they become unforgettable moments that linger. Say something too soon, and it feels needy. Say it too late, and it feels irrelevant. But at the perfect moment, it feels powerful. Machiavelli taught that power isn't brute control. It's creating conditions where others reveal themselves. In attraction, it's about drawing it out while you remain steady. This method isn't about rehearsed lines. It's about presence, silence, tension, and mystery. When you master these, you stop running after attention. Instead, attention runs to you. You no longer chase approval. You become the one she can't stop thinking about, the man she's compelled to figure out. Women have met countless men who act the same. They ask, they overshare, they beg silently for approval. Those men vanish in her memory. But the one who notices deeply, who listens fully, who holds silence with power, that man stays. He becomes rare, and rarity is what attraction thrives on. Picture the difference. Other men fill silence with noise. You let it breathe. Others agree with everything. You spark reflection. Others overshare. You hold mystery. Each small shift builds a bigger difference. And that difference is what makes her remember you long after the conversation has ended. Attraction is not about clarity. It's about curiosity. The less she knows, the more she wants to discover. Each unanswered question is a hook pulling her closer. Curiosity is the fuel of desire. And when you embody mystery, you become the source she cannot stop returning to again and again. But remember, silence must be alive, not empty. Awkward quiet repels. Confident stillness attracts. When you hold silence with presence, it carries weight. It tells her you're calm, grounded, and unshaken. That strength creates magnetism. Without a word, she feels pulled into your world, eager to learn more. Presence can't be faked. It's built through self-awareness and calm attention. When you're grounded, every pause matters, every glance carries weight. You don't scramble to prove yourself, you simply are. That presence becomes a rare quality in a world full of distraction, and rare qualities are always desired. Most men scramble for recognition, but recognition is never earned through begging. The man who already embodies value doesn't need approval. That's why he gets it. Women sense this energy immediately. One man chases, the other attracts. Machiavelli's principle is clear. Real power lies in not needing validation. Humans are wired for curiosity. Predictability numbs, mystery excites. If she can predict every word you'll say, she disengages. But if your words hold unpredictability, she leans in. Mystery stirs the mind. Curiosity anchors the heart. The man who understands this doesn't force attention. He draws it naturally. Attraction works like a flame. Too much exposure smothers it, too little and it dies out. The key is balance, presence without pressure, interest without desperation, mystery without distance. You don't need to overwhelm. You need to leave room for oxygen. That space is where desire burns brightest. Many men mistake vulnerability for overexposure. They flutter with details, believing honesty equals connection. But true connection isn't information, it's emotion. Mystery, timing, and restraint creates more attraction than revealing every detail. Give her fragments, not everything. Let curiosity carry her deeper into your world. Machiavelli understood that true rulers don't force people. They create conditions where others reveal themselves. In attraction, you don't force her to talk. You create a presence so she chooses to. You don't demand her attention. You hold yourself with such calm power that she gives it willingly. Average men see silence as weakness. Great men use silence as a mirror. She fills it with her own words, her own truths. The more she invests, the deeper her connection. You lead without commands. She follows without realizing. This is leadership through restraint, the rarest kind of influence. Attraction doesn't live in facts. It lives in feelings. When you offer perceptions that others miss, she feels recognized. That recognition is rare, and rarity is unforgettable. The moment she feels truly seen, she can't forget you. The man who sparks that feeling holds more power than status ever could. Mystery isn't hiding everything, it's showing just enough. Each reveal becomes a spark. Each spark pulls her closer. You let her chase the pieces, never giving the full picture. This keeps her mind engaged, searching. Curiosity is the strongest hook of all. When she's hooked, attraction becomes inevitable. In a noisy world, silence is rare. Presence even rarer. Everyone talks, few listen. But when you listen fully, with calm attention, she feels it. You're not rushing. You're not distracted. That quality alone separates you. She senses it immediately, and the contrast with other men makes you unforgettable. The paradox of attention is this: the more you chase it, the less you get. The more you withdraw from needing it, the more it flows to you. When she feels your validation doesn't define you, she starts seeking yours. That inversion is what flips attraction in your favor. This invisible strength comes from restraint. By mastering mystery, silence, and timing, you escape the ordinary. You no longer look like the predictable man. You radiate difference, and in the game of attraction, difference is everything. Not louder, not needier, just rarer. And rarity is the ultimate magnet. Other men compete with words, jokes, and constant chatter. You compete with none of that. You let pauses breathe. You let words fall with weight. You use silence as punctuation. Every glance and pause grows heavier. She feels the difference, and that difference keeps you on her mind. Machiavelli said power doesn't last through brute force, it lasts through perception. In attraction, you don't demand. You guide subtly. She reveals herself while you remain steady. She invests more while you spend less. You lead invisibly, and that invisible leadership creates a pull she can't resist. Agreement feels safe, but it also feels dull. Disagreement creates conflict, but subtle provocation creates intrigue. The balance is delicate, but when done right, it works. You don't attack her views. You reframe them, challenge gently, invite her to think. That small spark of tension keeps her engaged. When you embody silence, mystery, and elegant challenge, you transform into something rare, a puzzle. She doesn't walk away with answers. She walks away with questions. And those questions keep her thinking about you long after you've left. That is the true power of presence. It lingers when you're gone. Value doesn't declare itself. It shows through boundaries, standards, and restraint. A man who doesn't say yes to everything becomes scarce. Scarcity creates desire. She feels your selectiveness, and it signals worth. You don't need to argue for your value. She senses it in your silence and your choices. Timing is everything. The same words can feel desperate or magnetic, depending on when they're delivered. Timing cannot be memorized, it must be sensed. The more aware you are, the sharper your timing becomes. Words placed at the perfect moment don't just land, they echo. A silence held a second longer becomes charged. A glance that lingers transforms the air. Timing shapes perception. When you sync with the rhythm of the moment, everything you do carries more power. Timing isn't trickery, it's presence. And presence amplifies every word, every pause, every gesture. Attraction rooted in silence, mystery, and timing is not fake. It's authenticity amplified. It's not about controlling her, it's about mastering yourself. Machiavelli's wisdom proves force is fragile, but perception endures. In attraction, you don't perform for attention. You embody presence, and attention naturally shifts towards you. Most men fail because they overshare, overask, and overpursue. They mistake effort for impact. But attraction isn't built on effort, it's built on restraint. By doing less with more intention, you stand apart. You don't compete in the noise, you dominate in the quiet. And that quiet is magnetic. At any moment you face two choices. Follow the script of every other man, predictable, forgettable, or embrace presence, mystery, and timing. Stop flooding silence. Stop begging with questions. Stop proving yourself. Instead, observe, hold, and let her chase. One path makes you common, the other makes you rare. Attraction doesn't start in logic. She won't list reasons for why she feels drawn to you. She will simply feel it. Mystery bypasses logic and speaks to instinct. Silence bypasses logic and speaks to intuition. Elegant challenge bypasses logic and speaks to desire. And desire is the language that matters. Presence creates gravity. People orbit those who carry it. Women sense it instantly. In your calm silence, in your poised words, in your unshaken energy, she feels it. That gravity draws her without you chasing. In a world where everyone screams for attention, silence becomes the loudest signal. Next time you're in a conversation, resist the urge to overshare or interrogate. Instead, lean into stillness. Offer insights, not questions. Hold silence with strength. Guard your mystery. You'll see the shift. She begins to invest, to prove herself, to impress you. The roles reverse. Attraction flows naturally. This is Machiavelli's secret. Not power through force, but influence through presence. Attraction through silence, timing, and mystery. If this resonated with you, leave your opinion below. Subscribe to the channel to receive more strategies from Machiavelli. And remember, true mystery cannot be hidden. It can be cultivated. Cultivate it, and you will never pursue it again.